URC run number 14. That was a bizarre game. 42 points to nil. Glasgow over the Lions. I say bizarre because that was a hell of a win. And it was 42-0 at half time and it finished 42-0. I think I mentioned last week when I watched Glasgow against Munster, it's like a bit windy. And somebody said, like, that's not even windy. What are you talking about? This was windy. Like, unbelievably windy. You literally had one of the restarts in this game get kicked off, go up into the sky, past the 10-metre mark, and then blow back. Not quite to halfway, but the kick didn't go the 10 metres, but the ref said because it had crossed like the plane of 10 metres, it still counted as a full 10-metre kickoff. It was windy, and Glasgow took full advantage of the wind in the first half, piled on 42 points, and probably looked the more dangerous of the two sides to score in the second, to be honest. The Lions, with the wind at their backs, still unable to trouble the scorers in that second half. We'll go over the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts, but pretty emphatic win for Glasgow this week. I mean, the Lions' defence held early as Glasgow went through a lot of phases, but they just couldn't escape. They couldn't escape their own half. They couldn't exit. Eventually, they paid for it with Macbeth going over. Apparently, he's on a heck of a try-scoring run. I think they said 4 games in a row, which is quite incredible for a guy up front, but 7 points to nil. Glasgow did kind of have to find their gauge with the boot because a couple of their kicks went out on the full. McDowell eventually kicked a nice 50-22 from turnover ball. And when the Lions conceded another penalty on 17 minutes, they're back down their own end. Glasgow go through some phases. Horn has some kind of nice jinking, jiving footwork, and Dobie's able to get his first of 2 tries. He ends up getting man of the match in this one, so 14 points to nil, Glasgow up. And like every time the Lions tried to exit, honestly, the kick would just go nowhere. They would have a clearance kick from their own 22, and Glasgow's line-out would still be inside the Lions' 22. It was horrendous. I don't know if they had a different option to try and get out of their own territory, but they weren't finding it. Eventually, Dobie got held up before he managed to get a second one, so that was one chance gone to Bigham, but he got it a minute later anyway. He stepped really nicely between a couple of Lions defenders. It was all the possession, all the territory with Glasgow. You're 21-0 up. That's when we had the restart, literally go the 10 and then get blown backwards, play on. And then Horn, I think they said, becomes Glasgow's top ever try scorer, so massive congratulations to him. Passes DTH Van der Merwe. He got one. This one was just some really nice Glasgow hands. And, Dobie taking the gap, the offload, and then the kind of one-handed take partly behind his back from Horn was proper thing of beauty stuff. That's the bonus point. That's 28-0. That's the record for George Horn. Cracking stuff from Glasgow. Hastings got in on the act as well. He had a wee kind of show and go, which is not something he's that known for, but he did it pretty nicely. The show and go, the step, so it was pretty nimble footwork from him. 35-0, and this guy's kicking all these bloody conversions as well, despite the wind. Like, they're having to have a guy hold the ball because it's that windy, but he's knocking them over, so fantastic stuff in that regard as well. You did have the Lions get a few phases in Glasgow's half in that first half, but, didn't take long before they kind of got held up in the tackle, so turnover ball back to Glasgow. And, there was a yellow card towards the end of the first half, which was bizarre because the ref lost his yellow card. I guess it blew out of his pocket in the wind, but the ref lost his yellow card, so he had to hand signal a yellow card for the Lions after not being back behind their own goal line for a Glasgow attempted quick tap. And then Stewart was able to get the try at the end of the first half. Powers over. 42 points to nil. That is a heck of a first half. The Lions have had no ball and no territory. The possession and territory stats are 65-35 possession and 71-29 territory, which is not the most I've ever seen, but it's right up there. Second half, there's not really that much going on. I mean, Horn seemed to have a leg injury, but he was able to shake it off. He got substituted a bit later on. Glasgow, I think, had certainly a lot more territory than the Lions did in the first half, so they were playing better into the wind than the Lions were managing. The Lions did have some chances, but sometimes the decision-making was pretty poor. Like little dinking kicks through, and it's like maybe keep ball in hand. But, the Glasgow defence was admirable, so they were trying to unlock it. Glasgow, to be fair, looked probably the more likely to score, despite the fact they were into the wind. Like, they might have had one, if not for a forward pass. Cancellieri was looking pretty hungry. We had a long TMO call for a push off the ball, which was a bit of a stoppage for nothing. But, yeah, there's nothing really doing in the second half. There's a bunch of turnovers won. There's a bunch of missed opportunities. But, yeah, at 42-0, the game was absolutely done and dusted. It was just a question of, is 42 points enough of a lead? And it was way more than enough. Lions come away with nothing. It's 6 tries to none. Possession and territory stats finished 66-34 possession and 58-42 territory. So the second half territory was only 54-46 to the Lions, which means they had way less than what the Glasgow guys had when they had the wind at their back. Run meters, 600 to 250. Like, emphatic. Defenders beaten 34-11. Offloads 22-4. Like, Glasgow were just lighten the game up. I mean, clean breaks is 4-2, but it's double. Dobie has 4 defenders beaten, 1 clean break. Frankie Horn has 22 tackles. Vailanu wins a couple of turnovers. Pretorius wins 3 turnovers. There's a lot of breakdown penalties won in this one, but yeah, pretty emphatic from Glasgow. They look very deserving of their spot towards the top of the URC table. And for the Lions, it's looking like a hard road in. But they are back home once the URC gets back underway mid-April. They'll be facing Benetton at home. And Glasgow will be away to Zebre. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. She was pretty windy. Take care of yourself. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.